I rise today seeking clarity, although in full support of the government's determination to protect our communities. I support, like most of us, evidence-based policy making, and in the absence of data, precautions, not restrictions. Now, I will be voting with the government today on precautions, face masks. It's about personal responsibility and a small step we can take to protect our communities. The NHS mandate. We need to keep our health force safe and not put those who are most vulnerable, who they care for, at risk. Testing over 10-day isolation. Absolutely, testing is the most important thing we can do. I support that. Boosters. Absolutely, we need to get everyone boosted. But vaccine passports is where I find difficulty, and they come in three main areas. The first, there is no evidence that passports reduce transmission. France, Scotland, yes, we've seen some increase in the uptake of the vaccine, but we've seen no reduction in transmission as a result. Secondly, we're saying at the moment that 2 jabs are not enough. Well, then if you need a booster, and that's so important, why is a vaccine passport based on 2 jabs? There is a contradiction there. And I do not believe that these COVID passports will prevent lockdown. And I question the mechanics of them, like my colleague who just spoke. A negative test, you are self-declaring you've had a negative test. You are self-asking for someone to give you that declaration with no evidence that you've had a negative test, and then somehow there's meant to be some kind of uploaded capacity. The bureaucratic mechanics required for passports to work are not there. The bureaucratic mechanisms required for negative tests are not there. They will come at great cost to us, and I do not believe that we have the capacity to deliver the negative test aspect of the passport regime. Secondly, modelling of the severity of Omicron. DSTL has not even reported yet. So how can we be asked to decide on these measures today without the data? In South Africa, we're not seeing the experienced death spikes, the expected death spikes. Hospitalisation sits around 38 for every 1,000, compared to 101 per 1,000 for the Delta. Modelling on Delta cannot be right because we know this variant is not the same. There are currently 10 people in hospital with Omicron. But are they in hospital because they have Omicron or with Omicron? These are answers we just don't know. And frankly, if Omicron is that severe, we need more than the Plan B measures being proposed today. My third reason for voting against COVID passports today is the fundamental unease they give me. We do not discriminate on a medical basis in this country, and we cannot. Secondly, we are encouraging people to work from home, but pub trips or parties are permitted when we know from the previous lockdowns that it was home mixing where the problem was. We have very high vaccination rates. We do not need these passports. 96% of people in Rutland and Melton have had both their jabs. 96% have had their first. 93% of Rutland and Melton have had their second. 47% of people have had their boosters. They deserve to be thanked and recognised, and my constituents do not deserve to have passports put upon them when they are taking up the vaccine like this. And on this point, I'd just like to thank those amazing vaccinators across Rutland and Melton, particularly the Melton Lions and the Rutland Lions. Finally, my final 2 concerns are that we constantly changing the rules. Businesses cannot keep up. This is not the certainty they asked for. And school closures. Since we announced the measures in Plan B, there are schools across the country talking about closing. That is not acceptable. Our children must be in school to learn, our children must be in school to be protected, and our children deserve more. We cannot have people going out to parties and pubs, but children not in school, and the government must mandate for schools to remain open, not just say that that is guidance. My final plea is for help, because in Melton we do not have enough clinics for vaccinations, and this has been an issue for months. And so I plead for the Minister to please make sure we get more booster clinics in Melton. And finally, my plea is get vaccinated,
And you need to get other people in. Erin